Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Jubilife City Jukebox. My name is Reese, you may also know me as Ronk, and this is a show where we talk to your favorite content creators about their favorite Pokemon music. Today we've got a brand new guest, and you may know them from many different things, one being their work on the controller mods from InsideGadgets. You may know them from their work on the preservation and repair of Gen 4 cartridges, or you may know them from having the most insane 64-time shiny hunting setup you've ever seen. My friend Fex. Fex, welcome.
Hi Ronk, how's it going?
Oh, you know, I'm chilling. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm already into the garden, so we're already on the weeds. It's garden season, so I'm spending a lot of time outside, and that has been great. And also tiring.
That's wonderful. The weather's been super nice here today. I finally got back out on my longboard as well. It's been nice. It's been nice. What kind of stuff do you grow? What do you have in your garden?
Oh, everything. I mostly do edible garden stuff. So onions, garlic, tomatoes, carrots, radishes, tomatillos, like 30 or 40 different varieties of pepper, cabbage, squash, zucchini. Like it's my entire backyard is.
I was gonna say, how do you fit 30 to 40 types of peppers in one garden?
Yeah, the trick to that is there's these grow bags. They're about half the size of like a 5-gallon bucket, and they're a 5-gallon grow bag, and you fill them with soil, and then each pepper gets its own grow bag, and you just kind of litter them across the yard wherever they get the right amount of sunlight.
Nice, that's cool. Yeah, I've always, I'd like to get into gardening one day. I feel like I'd enjoy it. But anyways, onto what we're actually here for. I have a couple questions that I always ask like every guest just to get, a little background. But do you have any like sort of background in music, whether it be like in school or anything like that?
Not really. I played in the middle school band, but I think everyone did. I played the trombone, which I thought was cool. And I was always second seat. There was one person who's better than me. And I always tried, one time I got the gumption to try and go for first seat. And I think they kind of gave it to me out of pity because they gave me first seat for a week. And then they did because you basically do like a battle, like a band battle to get the seat. And so then I had it for a week, and then they did it again and it got swapped back. And I'm like, well, I'm never going to do that again.
I tried trombone once. My music teacher let me take one home for the summer, and this was in high school, mind you. I'd already been playing bass, and I took it home because I was like, man, this is such a cool instrument, and like I just, I want to learn how to. And I spent the first week trying to get a noise out of it, and I couldn't hit any of the notes, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. And it just sat there and collected dust, and I brought it back.
My favorite thing about the trombone is that it has a unique feature in that you can do the slides, I think they're called, which you can't do with any other instrument. And that was always like, I don't know, it felt weird in the cool kind of way. I really love weird in the cool kind of way.
Especially for wind instruments, getting that getting a slide out of it's crazy. Okay, so you got a bit of a background. I mean, everyone played in the middle school band, but that's okay. I think that's where I didn't. Like, I started with tenor sax in grade school, and I liked it, but it wasn't until high school that I really got into like bass and moved on. But that's good. Okay. And then the next question I always go into is, how did you get? This is usually a bigger one. How did you get into Pokemon? Like, how did that start for you?
Yeah, so I feel like I have the very typical, was a young boy who got a Pokemon game put into his hand and kind of mostly never stopped. But specifically, I remember my first Pokemon game being it was the Pokemon TCG on the Game Boy Color, and so I played that so much, and I was bad at it. I could never win. I'm still kind of bad at it today. I've went back and played a few times, but then I traded that game with a friend temporarily for Pokemon Blue, and I played through Pokemon Blue, got stuck 3 times in Cerulean. I didn't know to go back through that house, so I reset my save 3 different times, thinking I did something wrong, and it kind of just went from there. I never did get my Pokemon TCG back. I think I gave them Blue back, but maybe not. But I never got my TCG back, and I know who has it, and I've talked to them about it before, and they pretend like they have no idea what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's great. I don't think I ever played the Game Boy Color TCG. I only recently got into it with Pocket, but man, it's just I totally get it. Those old games, like I Pokemon, I never specifically had an issue with, but going back to playing like old Xbox games that I played as a kid, where I would like get literally to the first level and I'd be like, I don't know what's going on here. I'll put it away until I forget about it and then I'll try it again.
I think one of the reasons why I'm so water starter pilled, it's not even funny. Like that meme, it was just a straight line through the water starters. Mm-hmm. My very first playthrough, I picked Charmander, as any classic basic Pokemon fan would. And I got stuck and I was like, it must be because something's wrong with Charizard. Or Charmander or whatever. And so the next couple playthroughs I went with Squirtle and then figured it out and then just stayed with Squirtle, and I've been water pilled since.
That's the secret. It's the water type. That's it.
Yeah. That's how you get through the back door.
So, the way I met you was through streaming. How did you get into like content creation, kind of like streaming or whatever else you do?
Yeah, I mean, I still kind of feel like I'm not really a content creator yet, or that I'm not into it, but I'll convince myself I am. Honestly, it's been almost entirely about making cool projects and sharing them. Mm-hmm. I had kind of dabbled with streaming before, like years ago, and never really stuck with it. But the thing that kind of like got me to stick with it more is I would post something on Blue Sky, Twitter, whatever, and half the comments would be like, hey, you gotta like show us how this is made, or it's like you gotta like, or so earnest, I want to see how this works. Mm-hmm. And enough of those finally wore me down. I was like, well, I'm not ready to create a YouTube video yet. I don't have that skill. I don't think I have the right like clickbait or thumbnails or whatever. I'm just gonna try out streaming for a bit, and I ended up liking that a lot more. And then it kind of, blew up into things like having the DS wall on the screen a lot, or like trying to solve these really silly problems that I've made myself. Yeah, and then that's kind of how I fell into it. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think the reason I've stayed is the people. And I don't want to say too much about that now because it's a whole thing later, but I truly think it's like, I started because I wanted to share projects, and I stayed because the community is amazing. But I don't know. I'm addicted to making cool stuff, and what I think is cool, and hopefully people agree. And everything kind of fell out of that.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of making cool stuff if you can't show people?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I've asked you to bring me six of your favorite songs, or at least six songs that have some meaning to you. And I think we just get right into it. What's the first song you got for me?
Yeah, so I'm gonna all of the songs I picked, I think they kind of really fall into two themes, and the songs ahead. So I'll jump in pretty quickly, but I am curious if you have any guesses on what the two themes I've identified are.
I don't think I you know what? Looking at them now, I don't, even now knowing there's a theme, I can't really pick it out.
Yeah, no,
I don't think so.
I don't think I would have been able to pick them out either. So I was curious if anything stood out. Okay. Yeah, so I want to start with Red, Blue, Yellow, Lavender, Lavender Town.
A classic, composed by Junichi Masuda, who made the whole soundtrack himself. The whole thing, he's one guy, and it's still crazy that he's still like one of the most insane composers on the on all the games. But why'd you choose this one?
Yeah, so I know you really like horror. I don't like horror at all. It's not my thing. Like, I can't handle gore, I can't handle scary movies. Not my thing at all. But I am a huge fan of something I call spoopy. Spoppy. Spoopy.
Yeah.
It's not scary, but it like evokes the idea of scary. It's like the LaCroix of horror, and and I don't know. So it falls into this slot of like kind of, it's spooky, but it's also like very environmental. Like, it kind of sets the theme of the town and says this is a scary, weird place. Like, there's some adventure or mystery to be had here. my one piece of maybe music theory that I'm hoping I'm right on, I didn't look it up because I wanted to save it for this.
Okay.
I think Lavender Town is in minor key, and that is the only thing I can say.
It's true. It is. It's an incredible, the one note I have is here is incredibly upsetting, which is, it is. Like for a Game Boy game to like get so much like emotion out of what was, I think like maybe 3 tracks they had. I don't remember how many exactly, but like it's a little, even now listening, I know it was made for the Game Boy speaker at the time, but like even listening to it now, it's a little grating on the ears. Like I think, I don't, whether that's on purpose or not, the synths are like super grating. It's a very upsetting song. It is in a minor key, it's true. And like for me, it's always been intrinsically linked with like creepypasta, because like that was like my horror gateway for me when I was a kid. It was like, oh, all these creepypastas, and it was particularly the Lavender Town Syndrome one, which was I think back in like 2010, which was this, of course now looking back on it, it's ridiculous, this ridiculous story of like droves of children killing themselves because all this music is they can hear frequencies that we can't hear, which is ridiculous now, but at the time, you know, it's so funny that this song, like despite being 3 or 4 tracks, is like still used. You can listen to any like creepy top 10 creepiest video game moments or whatever, and this song is going to be in there 100%.
Yeah, 100%. The I don't know, I really like that creepy pasta. I think maybe that's another way to put it, is the creepy pasta slot is like my kind of horror. There's this so I used to play a lot of role-playing games. I still do somewhat, but not nearly as much. There's this role-playing game called 10 Candles. The whole idea is you put everyone in a dark room with 10 candles. Anytime something bad happens, you blow out a candle. Like the only light in the room is the candles. And once all 10 candles are blown out, every player dies. And like that's the whole premise of the game. Everyone knows going into it. And it's just fighting against this world that you know is unwinnable and trying to find hope in this window of despair.
Man, that sounds sick. I gotta try that sometime. That's super cool. I like that. All right, so we've got our first one down. A great choice, starting with the first game. I think it's a perfect spot for us to start off. What's the next one you got for me?
Yeah, so the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon like title theme. Just saying it, just imagining the game, the I don't know how to describe it. There's the iconic sound, it just rolls through my head. But for me, this song specifically, it's jubilant, but the most important thing to be is it falls into this the other theme, which I think I'll just reveal now, is like it has a core memory for me. So for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, I remember being in middle school. There was this brick ledge. I had PMD Red and my friend had PMD Blue, and they can communicate to each other through slot 2, so you can rescue each other. And I remember every day before school, we'd sit on this ledge playing through dungeons, and whenever one of us died or got stuck, we would put both games in one game and then play and save the other person. And it's just such a strong core memory of like the Pokemon experience and being able to play with people and to enjoy it as a collaborative thing.
It's such a great song. So I think the official name that I came across is called Top Menu, which is not a great name, but it was composed by 2 people, Arata Iyoshi and Atsuhiro Ishizuna, sorry. And before we move on, I do have a composer corner. This is our composer corner for the episode on Arata Iyoshi. A super interesting guy. He's a Japanese freelance composer. Back in the day, he trained at Naomi Career Center in Japan, specializing in world music and folk music. So he's got a really interesting background for music. He went on to work for DMAC Records after graduating, but then went on to be freelance. And I think whether it was while he was freelance and he was like contracted, or if he was working for Konami, he worked under their video game division called like Bimani, named after the Beatmania games, I guess. He did a ton of work on that series from 2005 to 2012. He worked as a composer, arranger, and lyricist. And I think the games specifically he worked on were Beatmania 13 to 20. So he's had his hand in that series for a long time. And then in 2005 he worked as the composer alongside Atsuhiro Ishizuna for PMD Red and Blue under the company Chunsoft. And then while under Chunsoft, he did a few other games. He worked on a game called Homeland in 2005 in the sound department. In 2007, he was the composer alongside some others for Explorers of Time and Darkness, so he came back. And I guarantee you, like, he's the reason for that, like, Mystery Dungeon sound. In 2008, he also did a bit more work. He worked on Super Smash Bros. Brawl. He did 3 arrangements. He did the Dark World, White Land, and Sky World were the 3 arrangements he did. And then, 2009 came back for PMD Explorers of Sky. But for some reason, he wasn't brought back for Rescue Team DX on the Switch. He's still like credited for the original music composition, but he was never brought back to actually do any more work. And then he went on to start his own sound design company called Shin Sound Design. He's also put out original music himself. Now, I'm not sure if you knew about this, but as a fellow PMD fan, I really implore you to check it out. He has 3 albums. One's called Fantascape from 2010. He has Ethnoplex from 2020. And the one I want to focus on is Explorer from 2023. It is so Mystery Dungeon coded, it's not even funny. You can tell like this is the same guy that wrote those soundtracks. It listening to Explorer for me, like I sat down and listened to it when I was writing out all these notes. It feels like a lost PMD soundtrack. Like it's so interesting. But yeah, his name is Arata Iyoshi, Arataiyyoshi. So if you're listening and you want to check this out, the album's Explorer, and it's super, super cool. And then as of recently, the last thing he worked on that I could find, he was credited as a composer for 2 episodes of a show called Paper Puppets in 2021 and 1 episode of Azoic Assault in 2022. So obviously, his freelance thing's working out. I'm not surprised at all. He's a genius, frankly. But coming back to the song, the first note I have is it's the same, very similar to you. Like it's like linked to a memory for me because PMD Blue, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, was like my first Pokemon game before Pearl. My friend gave it to me on the bus and then I kept it. But like it's just such a beautiful song, man. It makes me want to cry whenever I hear it. It's so good. It's so good.
So I really enjoy this game. You enjoy it too. And to me, there's like this visceral memory. Of course, the memory already is shared, but like when you turn it on and you go into the menu and it starts playing that, I don't know the words to describe it. It starts playing the classic sound, and then it animates into like the Pelipper flying up, and like I just feel all the nostalgia in my stomach, and I'm like, this game brings me so much joy. For when I stream, the PMD soundtrack is my go-to. Like if I don't know what to play, if I don't know what I want to play, that's what I put on, and it always brings me joy. So obviously I'm gonna have to go check out this album, Explorers, right?
It's called Explorer, all caps. It's
perfect.
It's so good, dude. It's so good. Another thing like that, when I hear this song, because I played Blue, obviously I had the 2 screens. When I hear this song, I can always imagine like the art on the top screen. You know how like during the save select, there's always that like piece of concept art. Yeah. Every time, that's all I can think about. And like for the sound itself, like it's very Mystery Dungeon, and I couldn't quite pick out why. And the 2 instruments I chose that I think are like quintessential Mystery Dungeon are, there's like a pan flute, and there's like I don't know if it's like a harpsichord or if it's a dulcimer. But like whenever you hear it, you're like, it has to be Mystery Dungeon because no other Pokemon games use these instruments. But man, such a great choice. I'm really glad you brought this one because it's a song that like when I think about favorite Pokemon music, I don't think I ever would think of this one, but like when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's got to be up there. It's so good.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we've got our 2 down. What's the third one you got?
All right, so the trick, I'm ping-ponging between the themes. So we're gonna go back to the first theme, which I'll go ahead and reveal. So the first theme is like mystery, this idea of mystery. Mm-hmm. And for me, one of the strongest songs that evokes that feeling is Emerald's Dive theme. it's got that same spoopy feeling before, but it's way toned down. It's like something is interesting that's happening, and I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be. But it's cool to be here.
Yeah, man. So that one's composed by Goichi Noze. The first note I have is just in all caps water. I don't know why. It just sounds. It's got that sound.
Oh yeah, it does.
It's just it's like ear candy, like all the little bells in each headphone. Again, it's such a shame that like these songs were written for like a Game Boy speaker. It's like a mono speaker. There's one of them sits right in the middle of your SP, but like all the bells bounce between like both headphones. There's like the harp arpeggios. Everything about it is so like graceful is the other note I have. It's a very pretty song. I love this song.
So on that exact theme, here is the line that I had written down. I said, "It feels like I could get lost here underwater, but somehow it's still peaceful here."
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a very apt point. I like that.
Yeah. And of course the other thing being, once again, very, very water pilled. You have to dive to see Kyogre. And so it's also just, to me, like intrinsically linked with meeting Kyogre. And I feel like for a lot of people, maybe they get that feeling with the themes for the Reggie mystery side quest. But for me, I really feel it with Emerald Dive.
Yeah, it's such a shame they never brought Dive back. It was like one of my favorite mechanics, and I feel like they nailed it so well. Like it's such a great, you have these water roads. Why not put something under them? Like it's such a great idea, but it's a real shame they never brought it back. Another little part in the song I really liked. There's like in the middle of the song, there's like a bubbles breakdown. There's like the music cuts out for a second. It's literally just bubbles. It's like, but they're like pitch shifted. They're like in key. It's perfect. But it's just like one of those little like ear candy things they love to add to songs. All right. A great choice. I think Dive would be one of my 6. Maybe. It would be up there for me. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Make sure you check out Fex and all his stuff over on Blue Sky, over on Twitch, over on his YouTube. And this is just a reminder that if you like the podcast and you want more podcasts, you can subscribe over on my Patreon at patreon.com/wrong475, where you get the full version of the podcast with a little extra 20, 30 minutes at the end. We talk about music outside of Pokemon, as well as the full video version, and you get other stuff like early access to all my YouTube videos. That's the place to be. So once again, if you like the podcast, you want to support it a bit more, patreon.com/wrong475, and enjoy the rest of the episode. But okay, that's 3. We're halfway through. What's the next one you got?
Yeah, so back to memories. I'm gonna hit you with Driftvale City.
So good. Composed by Hitomi Sato, who has written so many of the classics, like so many of them. But I think she's very underrated. I feel you don't hear a lot about her, but man, fuck, she writes some good stuff. So why'd you bring this one? How does this one connect to the memory theme?
Yeah, so this is a much newer memory actually. You would think being Gen 5, it's like, oh, this is way back. No, this is like 6 months ago maybe.
All right.
So I don't have TikTok, but Driftvale blew up on TikTok as this meme with the dancing dinosaur thing. I mean, it was everywhere. And I recognized it as being Pokemon music, but I didn't, like, it took me a few listens to like figure out what it where it was. I had to it took me a while to remember where it was at. But it hit so hard listening to it later on that it just quickly skyrocketed to be one of my favorites. But specifically, and the timeline doesn't quite match up here. So looking back in my brain is shifting timelines. But the strongest core memory of this song for me is my wife has gotten into Pokemon in the last year or two, mostly at my nudging. But she's been playing it and enjoying it quite a bit. And I have a fond memory of the first time I heard this song when it blew back up again. We were both sitting on our couch. I was probably playing Pokemon. I think she'd taken a Pokemon break but she'd been playing within the like last couple hours. And she showed me this and she's like, do you recognize this song? And of course, it blew up from there. But so to me, while it was after her journey started in the Pokemon game, it's like that memory is kind of, it glued itself onto the memory of my wife getting into the Pokemon community and starting to enjoy these games, which has been something that's been very precious to me. Like I love being able to share that with her.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really great story. It's very interesting that it like hit the mainstream in such a way. I think it's I mean, because it's such a great song, but I think it's got a real vibe to it. I'm not quite sure. Like I've got a couple notes. It has like a very like Eastern music sound. I can't pinpoint why. I don't know if it's the instrumentation or the way it's written, but it's got like it's not very, I don't know. I don't want to say like a particularly Asian sound, but just like an Eastern music sound in general. It doesn't sound like Western music. If you listen to it with headphones, and I implore you do, the bongos and the percussion on your right ear, again, ear candy. Like I would never have heard that on the DS, but listening to it now, like you close your eyes and you just listen for that bongo. Oh, it's so good. It reminds me of, what's the song? September by Earth, Wind & Fire. If you listen to September, you'll never unhear it. I'm gonna curse you with this now. If you listen to September, there's a little guy way in the back. It's like in the back right or back left. I can't remember. And he just plays the bongo the whole song. It's the bongo guy. And you'll never be able to unhear him. Once you hear him, when you listen with stereo headphones, he's there. And that's exactly what this reminds me of. Like the percussion and all that on the right earphone is so good. And it's also very driven by like the bass line. The bass line is like, it's almost like a lead instrument in this one. You know what I mean? It really drives the song, keeps it going.
Yes. That makes sense. I'm going to have to go back and listen to him as stereo again. I have to do this because I am the self-proclaimed bongo guy for at least a little while. So
okay. Yeah, it's a great bongo pick. I would put this on a bongo playlist for sure. All right, we've got 4 down here. What's the 5th one you've got for me? From the mystery pile. The mystery pile, I assume.
From the mystery pile, yeah. So HGSS Ruins of Alph. I don't think I have to get too deep into the how it fits in the mystery pile, but I probably will anyways. But who is it composed by, Mr. Unknown Challenge?
It's Junichi Masuda and Shota Kageyama, who is actually a composer corner, I think, on the last episode or the one before. But yeah, two of the greatest. It's a great song.
Yeah. So reasons it stood out for me. We've kind of, as we've been going, we've gotten less spoopy and more mystery. This is like right on the end of it, where it's not really spoopy, but it almost scratches the spoopy itch while dialing up mystery to the max. Yeah. And part of that is just like, you're in this very strange foreign place with symbols and puzzles on the wall that you don't understand. And you, a 10-year-old child is the first person in a millennia to put the pieces together right and to fall into the secret room where these strange creatures are. And I don't know, if that doesn't make for a good mystery, I don't know what does.
Yeah, of course. I mean, who else would have made that picture of Aerodactyl? The Pokemon that exists in the world. 4x4 puzzle. Yeah, I totally agree. Like it's mysterious. Of course, it's mysterious. It's Ruins of Alph is like one of my favorite areas in Heart Gold Soul Silver. I've always loved it. But it's also like ominous in a way, like you said. There's that really low bass underneath like the xylophone line and the glockenspiel, and man, it's so good. We talked about this on one of the last episodes with Drumish about like the sealed chamber, but it's this feeling of like I feel like I shouldn't be here, or like this feeling of like I should just tread lightly at least. It doesn't feel like this is like a, not necessarily hostile place, but it doesn't feel like a benevolent place either.
Yeah, there's the air of danger. It's not actively aggressive, like there's not something chasing you down, but it feels like if you let your guard down for a moment and got distracted, something might sneak up and whisk you away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, that's almost basically what happens with the Arceus event. It's like you roll up to the ruins for 2 seconds, and then you're like, you're literally, like you said, you're whisked away. You're now somewhere completely different.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that, but they did a really good job of kind of like setting up that specific motif in there, even if I don't remember if it was ever officially released. It's still like that's exactly the play out of the feeling it evokes in me.
100%.
Another reason this game is important to me, this song in general, HDSS quickly skyrocketed into being, specifically Soul Silver, my favorite Pokemon game. And part of this was after Blue, I got Silver and played Silver. I don't know. I hundreds of hours easily. I explored every nook and cranny. But then we moved and I lost my Silver and I wasn't out of my Silver phase. And so I spent I went back to the house several times after we had left, just like trying to explore around to see if I could find it. And so Silver was always special in my heart. And, HGSS is literally like, what if you took gold and silver and made them perfect?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Heart Gold Soul Silver, like I'm a spring chicken. I'm sorry, I was born out of the 90s, so sorry, but I didn't get to grow up with Gen 2, and I was like just on the cusp of Gen 3 when I got into Pokemon. But like I was really into Diamond and Pearl when Heart Gold Soul Silver came out, and like when I found out it was a remake of like the Gen 2 games, I was like, man, this is great. And like I just remember, like, even from Diamond and Pearl, there's such a step up, like with the following Pokemon and the tap to run button, which they never brought back, and I'll never forgive them for it. But like, and I just like have such good memories, like of just like playing through them for the first time and like basically getting to, it's a whole new region and it's a whole new set of Pokemon. And yeah, I don't know, Runes of Alpha has always stood out. I'm not sure why. I really liked that you could rock smash to get like the fossil Pokemon and stuff like that, and you get to solve all the puzzles. But yeah, I think the song plays perfectly into it. For the longest time, I mixed up Union Cave is technically a separate song than Runes of Alpha. It's the same song, it's like reorchestrated. But when I was younger, for some reason, I always assumed the Union Cave version was the Runes of Alpha version. But coming back to it, it is different, and it's like purposely more ominous. It keeps the melody, but it adds like the really low bass and like the, I don't know, whatever other sounds there are to make it sound like you're in trouble. But yeah, it's a great pick. I really love Runes of Elf. All right, we are down to the final one. You've had a lot of great picks. I really like a lot of these. What's the last one you've brought for us?
Yeah, so I feel like I have a lot to say about this one, so I'll just say the name and then yeah. So Sweet. This is the Sword and Shield gem theme.
Yes, a classic. I love this one. It's composed by Minako Adachi. It looks like is the name I found. But what do you got to say about this one? Why'd you bring this one?
Yeah, so this is in the memory slot, the memory theme. But it stands on its own as an absolute banger. Like, it sets the mood for, you're in a battle, it's like the peak apex point of the battle, and all of a sudden, like, the whole theme of Galler's, it's like, it's a soccer tournament, but what if it was Pokemon? And right at the apex of the battle, the leader pulls out their ace, they Dynamax, and then the crowd starts chanting, and you feel like you're in like a soccer stadium. And that is something, until Sword and Shield, I would never, like, not even guess that it could happen. It wasn't even in the same, like, universe of possibility. Like, my brain couldn't fathom such a thing. That I could feel from the music, like, there were people in the crowd cheering or, like, engaging. And, like, like it's not voice acting, and Pokemon's always been weird about that, but it's so close while still being music, and that has that always struck me so hard from the music side of it.
You know what? It's funny you chose this one, because this one has an impact on me. I think in a way that thinking about it now, like coming back to it, I've kind of realized is quite a huge impact. But you know, to set the stage, this was maybe 5-6 years ago, give or take. But I was studying for something. I think it was school or whatever, and I was listening to YouTube on the other page, and I had come across a video, just got recommended. I wasn't in a Pokemon phase anymore. I had kind of stopped, and I hadn't played since Gen 5. And it was like top 10 Pokemon gym themes, or like, no, it was like top 10 best Pokemon songs or something, or like most banger whatever. And it was just like a top 10 list, and I remember listening to it, and number 2 was this theme. And like Sword and Shield was like brand new to me. I knew nothing about Sword and Shield. I had not followed Pokemon for years, but I remember hearing this and being like, whoa, like this is in a Pokemon game? I was like, Gen 5 had some good songs, but this is like completely in a world of its own. And I think this specific video, and specifically this song, is like what led me to getting back into Pokemon, like led me getting into, you know, shiny hunting, and kind of led me to here making this podcast. But it's exactly like you said, like it's this build up before like the Dynamax, and it's just such a great way to set the mood and the scene for like these they're stadium battles. Before it was like, you know, the gym has a couple trainers and then it's you and the leader, but for the first time, like it's like you said, it's like a sport now, you know what I mean? It's you're battling in huge stadiums for like supposedly, you know, hundreds or thousands of people. And you hit the nail on the head. The other note I have is like it's very similar to like the crowd chants at like football games or soccer games, I guess, in Europe. It's such a cool song, and there's so many movements to it too. Like the way it starts and the way it ends are like completely different. They almost sound like different songs.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's actually, this is something I think is interesting. Is the story I was going to tell about this song was pretty much beat for beat the story you just told about this song.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, you didn't steal it. I think that's really cool. It's different enough. So I also had a lull or a fallout in the Pokemon community, or in Pokemon in general, not the community specifically, for Gen 6 and 7. And I think a lot of people my age kind of had a dip in that area, because, you know, that was like, you're getting into college, you were doing, you know, whatever, life got busy, and the Pokemon games at the time felt, and looking back, I don't think this is a fair analysis, but at the time they felt kind of samey. And so I fell out of it. But when Sword and Shield came out, this was, I have a couple distinct memories, and it snapped me back into the community, snapped me back to where I am today. It came out, it was before everyone was sent home for the pandemic, but only like a couple months before at most. If I recall correctly, maybe a year, but I don't think that's quite right. So we were all sent home, and at the time I was very bad. I'm still quite an extrovert, but then it was like to the point that I could not be alone. Like I would get actually quite depressed alone. And and so I got back into a lot of things. I was DMing like 5 campaigns a week. I don't know how I did it. It was insane.
That is insane.
But the other thing I did was I picked up Sword and Shield, and I had a friend who was in my bubble, and he would come over on my couch, and we'd just play Sword and Shield together, like a stupid amount. And that kind of like drew me back into the community. And that period of the time is when I started like getting really engaged with like Twitch and YouTube and other creators in the community. And so for me, Sword and Shield, but specifically this song, was my gateway into what I think today is my most important belief, opinion, stance on Pokemon, and that it's not so much Pokemon that matters. It's this wonderful, amazing community and being connected to these people who all care and are genuinely excited about this shared interest.
Mm-hmm.
And Sword and Shield, and specifically Sword and Shield Gym, is that for me. Like, it's the glue that put everything together.
Mm-hmm. No, that's such an apt point, and I think it's such a great way of putting it. Yeah, like even in the, like, I know I'm sure I'm restating what you just said, but like even in the song, the whole idea is like this whole crowd of people who all love Pokemon are watching you battle, and they're all chanting it out, and everyone's just having a great time. And like, yeah, I literally just put a video out like a few days ago with the exact same thesis statement of like, you know, Pokemon's great and all, but I think it's you to get like the full enjoyment out of Pokemon by design with stuff like trading and like battling. It's like, it's just so perfect for like friends. You know what I mean? You can enjoy it so easily, despite them all being mostly single player. You can enjoy them so well with friends, and I think they're enhanced by getting to hang out with people and play the games with them and whatnot. But yeah, it's a great point, and I totally agree. I think that's my favorite part too. Like, it's the reason I stream. I don't stream for myself, you know. It's, you get to hang out with everybody, and it's the reason I do this podcast. I can't do a podcast without friends to come on and talk to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that I like Pokemon now more than I did as a kid, and it's like several times more. And it's nothing has really changed about the games. What has changed was my engagement with other people who like Pokemon. And it's just so incredibly rewarding, and there's no other way to describe it.
I completely agree. Like, I don't think I have anything else to say, because I'm in the exact same boat. Like, it's one thing to go hang out with your friends at the park and play whatever, but like, you know, like, it sounds silly to say, but like, Pokemon is such a huge part of my life now. You know, it's like every day I sit down and stream it for a couple hours. Every day I'm talking to you guys, you know, all my friends, about Pokemon. It's like, I don't know. It's part of like the lifeblood of my day to day now. And I think you're completely right. I think I must enjoy it more. I mean, I played it longer now than I did as a kid. I get dropped out of it, so I think you're right. I think that's very apt, and I don't think I've ever thought about that way. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think I mean, you're completely right. It's a great point. All right, well, I love your picks personally. I'm a big fan of these. I don't think we've seen any of them yet, which is great. Always fun to see some new stuff. If I had to choose one myself, I started just doing this with the last few episodes, and I think if I had to choose one myself, I would probably say it's got to be a tie between Top Menu and Dive. Like, they're both so like ingrained deep in my brain from like when I was a kid, but they're both all Pokemon music's great, but I think those two are the favorite that you brought for me. If you could, would you be able to choose a favorite from these six?
I think if, like, you know, twisting my arm, smashing my teeth in, whatever, the top theme, I think, or is it top music?
I think it's top theme, whatever.
Top theme definitely would, like, just barely by a hair beat out, I think, Sword Shield Gem. But I mean, I love them all. That's why they're here. But yeah.
Top Menu is perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Fex. This was a great time. Please, you know, plug any upcoming projects you got, any of your channels. Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's at FexCollects pretty much everywhere. I somewhat recently released a YouTube video about controlling a 3DS with the DK bongos, which I think is neat. I stream a bunch of projects on Twitch and also shiny hunting. If you're on Blue Sky, I have a club called Sending the Odds. You basically get a custom handle. You can DM me to join that.
I'm a proud member.
You are a proud member. You were almost not. You almost did your own website, which, you know, I fair. Otherwise, right. I have a lot of projects that are always in flight. I'll say look out in the future for some cool e-reader stuff that's hopefully coming out soon. But that's about it.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Fex. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.